We of all people know that humans are freaky little animals, but what about the other animals? In Birds and the Bees, we are deep diving into nature and all of the weird, wacky, and hard to believe facts that make the animal kingdom, quite frankly, bigger freaks than us. Hey guys, welcome back to Birds and the Bees. Today we have Nicole Vaunt. Yay! So we met about a year ago now, do you think?
Yeah, I think when I signed with Spiegler.
Yeah. How have you been finding LA world? Because you don't live here technically, do you?
I don't live here full time. I live here part time, and most of the time I live up in Portland in Oregon. I really like LA. I mean, this is where my best friend lives too, and I get to do a lot of crafty, nerdy stuff when I'm here, which I really love. So right now I'm working on a really beautiful dress for a secret project that she's doing at the end of the month, and then I'm also just doing fun shoots and podcasts and scenes, so I feel like I get a chance to A, enjoy the beautiful weather, and B, connect with lots of people in the industry that I wouldn't otherwise get to, like you.
Because you're a seamstress.
Sometimes.
Like in your personal, it's not really a hobby though, because you seem to be bad at, you're really good at it.
Oh, thank you.
From what I've gathered.
I'll have to show you photos of it. I have been sewing my entire life, but I haven't actually sewn a lot of garments from scratch, mostly just because it's not as much fun for me to make things just for myself. I really enjoy the collaborative aspect of making things with other people. And I also love a deadline. So when you're making things for yourself, it's really hard to have a deadline, but when you're making it for someone else who has to leave on a certain day, then I can get my ass in gear and get it finished, so.
I have a lot of soft spots for sewing and seamstress work because my mom, when I was growing up, she would always sew outfits for me because it was cheaper.
Yes.
And my family, my aunties were professional gamblers. So we would go to the racetrack every Saturday or Sunday, whatever it was.
Gosh.
And mom would make the outfit to throw me into the kids' fashion parade. So I'd be trotting around in a sunflower dress and a big hat and...
Kids fashion parade?
Yeah.
What the fuck is that?
It's a little competition and all the kids would get put in outfits and they'd walk their way down the catwalk and then they'd be judged.
Wow, okay.
And someone would win.
That's so cute.
That was my childhood, and then my aunties would go make their money.
Gambling at the racetrack and being on a stage. I mean, that sounds pretty... Your life is kind of...
It was a really sweet little childhood day.
Yeah,
I really loved it. And it's so funny that I'm talking about racing.
I was just about to say, was it horse racing? Because that's exciting.
It was. So they started in greyhounds actually, was their main thing, but it was horse races that I went to see.
Got it.
So I always ask people what animals they want to learn about, and you wanted to learn about horses.
I did want to learn about horses. I think horses are amazing. I think they're so beautiful, and I just think that they're such an amazing creature, and they've been with humans and utilized by humans for a really long time. And I read a lot of fantasy novels, and so of course I think about how great it would be if there were no cars and we just had a personal horse that loved me, that I had a connection with, that I took out every day, and that's what we were all riding around on, was horses instead of cars. I think that would be just lovely.
It's very romantic.
It's much more romantic, yes, than a car. A car, not very romantic to me. I mean, I suppose some of them, I do like cars, but there's something about the idea of just riding a horse with the wind blowing in your hair through a trail or on the beach that just sets my heart on fire.
Do you horse ride?
I have horse ridden before. I rode for a little bit when I was a kid. Unfortunately, one of my first lessons, a bee stung the horse and it ran, and I got so scared that I never went back. And I've always kind of regretted that because I wish that I had been able to do more of it because I did really love it. But when I became an adult, and especially coming down to LA, there's an amazing equestrian center and trails in LA, and so I did go on one of those, and that was really fun. But I have to say, I am absolutely not used to riding on a horse. And when I got off that horse, my legs were jelly.
Yeah.
Jelly, jelly, jelly.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work, and you don't realize how much strain it is, surprisingly, on your knees.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh.
I was a horsey girl, so I grew up around horses.
You give strong horse girl vibes.
Oh God, what does that mean? I think horse girls are crazy. So
No,
I'm like, am I crazy?
I would be a horse girl if I could. So to me, that's a compliment. You just feel like you are a strong outdoorsy person. I could just see you on a horse very easily.
I love that that's your opinion of horse girls. I think because I've been around horse girls in a really like intimate way growing
the
up.
real way, not the romantic way.
Yeah, like fucking crazy. And horses are crazy. It's so funny that you're like, I just want a horse that loves me. Because when I went to vet school, our equine specialist, our first class, he said the horses are good for two things, suicide and homicide, and there is nothing else that they're good for. And so he was like, don't become a horse vet. And I was like, noted.
Whoa, okay. Wait, why homicide or suicide?
They either want to kill you or they want to kill themselves. Like, all they do is hurt themselves, and it's very expensive. If they break a leg, they're dead. Like, you have to euthanize them.
That's pretty crazy. The fact that, like, a leg break is so major for them is wild. Because I think of most other animals that we keep around and have as pets or utilize in other ways, if they break their leg, it doesn't seem as disastrous as it does for horses.
Yeah, it depends on, so like animals that weigh a lot, it gets really tricky. Although, for example, if an elephant does, like I saw some pretty gnarly stuff in Thailand where I think because it's so thick, like they managed to get away with it. But horses, they're basically, and we'll talk about it, but they're basically walking on thumbs. Like a hoof is only one digit. So because of that, the second you hurt it, you're out. And also you can't like, because they weigh so much, to put hardware in to keep a fracture together, it's like so much weight going through the metal that you have to kind of sling the horses to take the weight off. So they have actually done it before. I think, was it Farlap was a really famous racehorse that broke his leg? There was one racehorse that was super famous, broke his leg, and they managed to heal him or her, and then put it to pasture after that. But it was very intense and very expensive because it's 24/7 care in a sling until it heals.
Wow.
Yeah, they're very fragile little things.
Oh, which is so wild because you look at them and it's just like muscle. You know, they seem like they could just be strong and invincible. But yeah, it definitely seems very expensive to not just upkeep with a horse in terms of their physical needs, like the food and the water and the housing that they need, but also, especially with housing, you have to, if you don't have a farm, you have to board it somewhere, I think, and that must be crazy expensive.
It's all very expensive. I had a friend that was boarding one in Hidden Hills, like where the Kardashians live, and I remember going to meet her horse and driving through, and I was like, I'm definitely in LA, this is insane. How expensive. Oof. Well, without any further ado, let's talk about some horse facts.
Horse facts by horse.
Horse facts by horse. That's the new title.
That's the new title.
Do you know a lot about horses, or do you know nothing?
I basically know nothing about horses except the romantic idea of them I have in my head.
Okay.
I know that they are measured by hands.
Yes.
They are X hands tall.
Yes.
And I know that some of them have the floofy hooves.
Cute.
And they're just really cute.
Alright, I have a lot that I can
That's basically it.
So we're going to start from like super basic stuff, and then we're going to get into some crazy stuff.
I'm so ready.
I nearly became a horse vet because the medicine side of them and their bodies are so unique.
Really?
Yeah, so let's start with what we call them. So there's stallions and there's mares.
Okay.
You probably know those terms. And then there's colts and fillies, the little babies.
Yeah.
They live in herds in the wild, and they're super social animals.
Okay.
So you don't find them living on their own.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to take a guess what the closest relative is to
a horse? That's not like a donkey or a mule?
Yeah.
The closest relative.
It's a weird one.
A fox.
No. I love foxes though.
Oh, wait, let me think. A giraffe.
No, but you're getting warmer.
Because they have the same legs with the knobbly knees.
Yeah, you're getting warmer. So rhinos and tapirs are actually the closest living relative.
Really?
And they're actually not that far apart timeline-wise in evolution. They didn't separate very long ago.
Oh.
So it would be kind of like humans and chimpanzees. That's how close they are.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
That's really, wow, I would never guessed it. I never would have gotten there.
No.
All right.
I can't picture it. When I learned this fact researching for this, and I thought, what the fuck?
Genetics are weird. I can't even really begin to understand the depths and complexities of genes and how things have branched off and evolved. That would take a degree much, much, much more advanced than mine.
Yeah.
So that's fascinating.
I feel like horses are kind of like the Victoria's Secret models of that little realm, and then rhinos somehow got the short end of the stick, even though I love them.
Rhinos are pretty cool though.
Yeah, but they're stumpy and they're like aggressive, and horses,
they look majestic,
elongated, and romantic.
Yeah, they got the romantic. Someone turned up the romance slider to make horses the way they are, and they turned it way down on rhinos.
Yeah,
I think rhinos are amazing, but romantic they are not.
No, it's kind of like, in my head, I imagine like Mask Femme, and it's just like they just branch really oddly. Love them all, but really cool fact.
Yeah.
One of my favorite facts about horses is, so I used to think that they could sleep standing up.
Yes, I also kind of thought that, but then I saw a lot of them laying.
Yeah, so the way that they kind of stay up is this weird apparatus in their legs called the stay apparatus.
That's literally what it's called?
Yeah. And so the way it works is it locks their kneecaps so their legs can't bend, and so they can fall into a light sleep while standing up. But what I learned since vet school is the only way they can get true deep REM sleep is if they do lie down.
Oh.
So it's now considered a myth, but a lot of horse people don't actually know that.
Huh. Do horses dream if they have a REM cycle?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, they do dream.
Do horses do
Yeah, they chase
like
things.
little dogs.
Yeah.
That's so cute.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. That's a good fact.
I don't think I would like to sleep standing up, though.
No, that sounds terrible. That sounds horrible. I like to be horizontal as often as possible, but especially when I'm sleeping.
I think they wouldn't get achy because they don't technically have any muscles from like their knees down. Like it's all tendons. So I don't think they would get super achy like we would if we were to stand up all night sleeping, but I also don't think that it would be the nicest feeling. Like your tendons would get sore, I feel like.
Yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting one. I just think about how if humans lock their knees for too long, then we pass out. The fact that horses don't is kind of cool.
Yeah. They also can't burp or vomit.
They can't vomit? If they eat something they shouldn't, what do they do?
You have to decontaminate the stomach then, so you actually put tubes down and you have to pump their stomach. And the reason why they can't is because they have this insanely strong lower esophageal sphincter that prevents anything coming up. And because of this, they also can't breathe through their mouth.
Oh, they can only breathe through the nose.
Yeah.
That sounds like bad design. You should be able to breathe through both orifices.
It's a weird one because I do agree, but I can also see the benefits of nothing being able to come back the other way.
Yes.
Especially when you're as athletic as horses are and the way we've trained them. Like the last thing you want is to be hurling while you're galloping on a racetrack or running away from predators and stuff like that.
True. If I was running from a lot of predators and I had to stop and puke, that would make it way worse for me and much easier for them. So.
Yeah, and I also feel like it would make nights out more interesting maybe, but I think I would prefer to not vomit if I went out drinking, and I think that's a superpower. I'm not that I vomit a lot, but
I would prefer to never vomit again, frankly. It's one of the worst feelings of like knowing that you have to and then doing it. It's just so terrible. But I will say you always feel better afterwards. So it's like,
yeah,
it has its purpose.
But then also, I don't know if you've ever done this, but at work there have definitely been a couple of times where I've done a little mini vom and I've had to deal with that in my mouth. Just imagine if you could do whatever you wanted knowing that you couldn't vomit.
You know, it would be nice to have a horse esophageal tract on certain days.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be nice.
If only we could switch it on and off.
Yeah, just, like...
Super horse superpower. I love it. Their field of vision is nearly 360 degrees because of where their eyes are positioned and the shape of their... Yeah. And they also have nearly 180-degree movement of their ears. So where we have 3 muscles, they have 10.
Oh.
So it allows them to hear almost entirely around themselves.
Well, that's cool.
But one of the really fun things that I only just learned about horses is, so we have 3 receptors in our eyes for color. And they only have 2, so the color that they miss is red.
Oh, interesting.
So they can't see red at all.
Can they not see green either? Are they red-green colorblind or just red?
Just red.
Huh, okay.
Because they have, so you have red, blue, and yellow cones, I think, from memory.
Okay.
So your blue and your yellows can mix to
You're right.
create that, but the red, no.
So no red, no purple.
They would see it as like a weird grey shade.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. So you should never use red signals for horses to tell them to stop because they're like, I don't know what that
What signal do they use to make them stop?
Well, you just would use something that's more obvious, like a blue, I guess, or something along those lines, because they can actually register that. Yeah, exactly. I think that's really cool.
That is really cool.
Their average lifespan is 30 years.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
I can see more and more why having a horse is so expensive.
Yeah. It's a half a lifetime commitment.
That is a long commitment. That's a long commitment.
And there are so many people, like a lot of my friends had horses that long. You can't ride them for that long, obviously. You throw them into a pasture and let them just have their retirement at some point. But they live for ages, and you can tell how old they are by their teeth.
Okay, that makes sense.
So vets, I had to learn it at vet school. You learn how worn it is and certain like little factors that help you work out how old they are.
Oh, and they don't tear anything, right? They only grind, or okay.
Yeah. So tearing is for like carnivores and omnivores.
That's what I
And then herbivores are more grinders.
Got it.
Yeah. Now we're going to get into some more fun facts.
Okay,
so that's like the
ready.
basics.
Okay, those are the basics. I know basics about horses now.
The boys don't have nipples. What the fuck?
Oh.
So mice and rats are the same, but other than that, there aren't really any male mammals that don't have nipples, but the horse is one of them.
So are they genetically always a certain gender from basically conception?
Well, the conception works the same as humans, like as far as the way DNA combines and you get XX or XY, but they have a different number, like a different genetic code that makes them look the way that they do. But the men, just the way it's programmed into their development, they don't get nipples.
Huh.
Just imagine if like any man that you looked at was just bare-tittied. That would be really annoying, actually. I like playing with nipples.
I do like playing with nipples, but I could also very easily picture it in my mind like no nipples. But I guess I can sort of picture anyone without nipples. It's just the globe or like the flat plane.
Yeah.
But I think nipples are so fun, so that would be sad if
it would be so
male humans didn't have them.
It would be so creative as well, though, because I think there'd be a massive market for like nipple stickers to match.
Oh.
That they could have like, maybe this guy's rocking stars and this guy's rocking diamantes and...
See, I like your idea of what the male response would be, because I think the male response would be like, we're better because we don't have nipples, unfortunately.
Well, maybe...
Nipples make you weak.
Maybe if you grew a third nipple, you're a woman!
You're a woman! It would be so horrible. But I want to believe in your world more than the one that I just came up with.
Yeah. Sometimes I really wish we lived in a matriarchal society so that things like this... If we lived in a matriarchal society and men didn't have nipples, I think that they wouldn't have a choice and we would do the most absurd things with tassels and, like, anything.
Wow, yeah, I can't even fathom it, really. It would be so different. But yet, at the same time, humans naturally, despite gender, have a thirst for power and forward momentum. So even if we were matriarchal, it would be better for us, but it still wouldn't be great for everyone.
Yeah.
Just like how it is now. But maybe it would be. Maybe there would be more of a bend towards equality and social services. But
yeah,
I don't know. I have a low opinion of what humans...
Okay,
what all humans are actually capable of.
One day I should do an episode once I've run through a bunch of animals on that topic, because there's a lot of really interesting studies on matriarchy and whether it would work or not in society.
I would love to know if I'm wrong. Please. Yeah. I would love to see more like science-based evidence that it would be better. That would be awesome.
Yeah. All right, next horse fact.
Okay.
So you know how we have type A, B, O blood?
Mm-hmm.
They have 7 different internationally recognized blood type systems.
Whoa.
Systems. And there's an 8th one that's not internationally recognized, but they think is there. And then they also have over 30 different factors, which are like blood groups, I guess, on the surface of these blood types. And what this means is they have over 400,000 different combinations for blood typing.
Why?
I don't know, and my brain...
What is the purpose?
Well, and my brain blew when I read this, because blood typing is so important as a doctor. You've probably heard this. If you give the wrong blood type, what happens is the blood coagulates and you die of a clot. So you need to make sure it's the right one. And in my head, I was like, how the fuck do you blood type when there's over 400,000? How do you ever give a horse a blood transfusion?
That's what I was just about to say, yeah.
But there is one that's the most common.
Okay.
And so this is usually what horses are. They still suggest blood typing horses because they can be different. But similarly to other animals as well, when you give the first blood transfusion for any animal, your body doesn't know what to do with that blood. It's never seen it before, so it learns how to react to that blood that first time. And then after that first time, then they get blood transfusion reactions typically.
Huh.
So the first time, if you were really in a pinch, you could throw anything and it would probably stick enough that like it would...
In a dire situation?
Yeah, it'd give them enough oxygen until you work out why they're losing red blood cells, but not ideal. So you do blood type them. But I just think that then it must be so difficult. I know one of my old hospitals, they used to blood type all the horses and just keep a record so that they could hit up people who had the right blood type to maybe provide blood if they needed it.
So is there an international or domestic horse blood bank?
That is a good question. I don't know the answer to that. I know a lot of clinics, so at least the way it works with dogs and cats, there is a dog blood bank, which is a private company typically that will bleed dogs regularly and sell the blood. But then there are a lot of clinics that also make their own. Like I've done it for patients before where it's an unusual blood type. You've run out of the blood type in the freezer. So then they have to ask all of their family relatives to bring in their pets to get blood typed to see if they match. And then you do the collection of the blood, put it into the bag and then give it. And that's fun but stressful. I used to love doing it, but I was always very stressed.
Blood is stored in a freezer?
Well, a fridge, sorry. Well, it depends. So plasma's normally frozen and then...
Oh. Do you add the plasma like back in?
So you can
or you
either...
separate it out and you freeze the plasma?
Either or.
Okay.
So you can get just fresh frozen plasma.
Give me that fresh plasma. Give me that fresh plasma.
Fresh plasma is amazing.
They don't talk about that in True Blood enough. There should be a different kind of synthetic blood that they have that's pure plasma or something.
Yeah.
That would be so weird and delightful. Like if it was a high proof, it somehow was a high proof alcohol type thing.
Yeah.
It's just plasma.
Or like one's the protein buff equivalent, all the really beefy vampires just drink plasma. And then everyone
protein plasma!
Yeah, and it's like 6 times the price because it's all
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love this idea.
Yeah.
Someone come up in the comments with a great name for that because I'm not good at that part.
Yeah.
Pure plasma.
Anyway, so that's a really cool fact about horses. I think that's crazy. 400,000.
That is crazy.
Horses also have the most documented facial expressions of any non-primate, and more than a chimpanzee.
Huh.
Horse expressions are actually, they're super well documented, and I'm not sure why we chose horses over other animals. I think because they have so many different muscles in their face, like for example, they have tenderloin for their ears.
I was going to say just the ears alone would mean, and the ability to move so much of their ear would mean you would get a ton more micro expressions or different actual expressions. Huh.
Yeah, so they have 17 kind of well-documented facial expressions, which makes them beautiful because once you know horses, you can communicate with them, I guess, a lot better. Like, you can understand what they're trying to tell you a little more easily. Are you having fun, Lola? You want to sit over here?
Please sit over there for me.
Molly, come here. Come here. You go. You learn about horses too, my love. All right. So when I went looking at horses, I know that horses have a really rich history in human medicine. And I wanted to find out what they've contributed to in our world. And I found some stuff that's very personal, actually, for me.
Okay, let's go.
So there is a neurotransmitter that is called acetylcholine, and it is a super critical neurotransmitter that makes your whole body run.
Okay.
It's one of the first things you learn about in vet school, in human medicine, everything. Every animal that I'm aware of has acetylcholine. It's kind of like how you create energy, in a sense. And this was originally found in horses in 1914.
Oh.
So they were the, like, ground zero for a huge amount of research, and I think it's really hard for me to explain to people how transformative that one discovery is. It is the basis of everything that we know about bodies.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
They also were part of research into, there's a type of virus called lentiviruses, so they include HIV and HPV.
Mm-hmm.
And the research started in horses in the early 1900s. So they paved the way for discovering HIV and HPV and then prevention of those diseases.
Wow.
Which I think is really cool
amazing.
as well. They were also used to produce the first antidote for diphtheria, which is a really gnarly bacterial disease. I don't know if you know about diphtheria. It's a really gnarly disease. And so they were used to produce the anti-serum.
Diphtheria is oftentimes what happens when there's it's a lack of, like, hygiene from, like, fecal matter and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And they continue to be used as anti-venom producers for snake bites in humans.
Oh, that's very cool because I'm very scared of snakes, so thanks, horses.
Yeah, so horses are used a lot. Beagles are actually used a lot as well because they're so sweet. Like, unfortunately, they're, like, targeted for animal testing and production of things because they don't have an evil bone in their body. I've never met a bad beagle.
No bad beagles.
No, horses on the other hand.
There's some mean horses out there. I'll be the first to say I was posing with some horses in Iceland.
Yeah.
Because I've done a lot of shoots in Iceland, and one of the places that we got to stay, they're so amazing. They have horses on their property and let us pose on them, which was incredible. And one of the horses' name was Princess, and she was mated to this stallion that we were also posing with. And I'm standing in between them like this, and Princess is on this side, and I'm sort of petting her mate like here, and she reaches over and she just nips me like right on the arm, and I was like, ah!
It hurts so much.
It hurts so much, and she didn't do it that hard, and it still was like a. And there's actually a great photo. I unfortunately can't post it here because I am naked, but of me being like in between the two of them, like right after she nipped me, and it's such a funny memory to have because the memory I have right before that is this very epic shot in front of this beautiful mountain, just naked Lady Godiva-ing on top of this horse, and then the next memory I have is getting nipped and making this ridiculous face.
They're so strong, and like even those, I bet you had like a massive bruise. Their mouths are so fucking strong.
Yes, I did have a bruise.
Yeah.
And again, it hurt me, but it must have been so light because it wasn't like bleeding or anything like that. The bruise wasn't gigantic. I think she was just like, hey, leave him alone! Leave him alone! He's mine! Ah! Yeah, exactly.
It really hurts when they kick you as well. I've been kicked in the kneecap before, and I'm so lucky I didn't break it.
I actually, one of the things I remember from being a kid and having those couple of horse lessons was to always approach them with like a flat palm so that you don't get nibbled on, like so they don't accidentally nip, and then to give them a very wide berth walking behind them, and preferably like not really walking behind them because they can kick.
Well, here's the thing. You either do a really wide berth or you actually go as close as you can, because the closer you are, the less power they can get to kick you. So they can kick you, but they won't get you as hard. So you'll either see horse people literally like glide their whole body alongside the horse and it's so scary because your instinct wants to be to take a step back, but you actually have to hug their legs. Or you just go so far away that a kick wouldn't reach you, but then that's meters, so it often doesn't work. Yeah.
Okay, well, now I know.
Yeah, you want to glue yourself to them.
Okay, I'm going to glue myself to the next horse I see.
It's still going to fucking hurt if they kick you,
yes,
I can tell you that.
Please don't do that. I would prefer not to be kicked by a horse ever.
Remember, they're good for homicide or suicide.
I'm learning so much.
Do you still want a horse now?
I still want to ride horses, yes. Do I want to own one? Absolutely not.
This is where this next fact that I found. You want to come up? You come up.
A second friend has entered the picture.
Come on.
Come in.
The dogs are like really excited. I think that they're getting treats. But not.
No treats yet.
No. So you won't know this about me. I think a lot of people listening probably won't know this about me. But when I was younger, I had a heart condition.
Oh.
So I would get arrhythmias. They're called supraventricular tachycardias. And basically, for whatever reason, my heart, the nodes in there would misfire and create a loop. And it would make my heart rate go above 180 degrees.
Oh.
80 degrees? 180. And
she was burning up.
Yeah. And so I would get really hot. I would get really sweaty. I felt like I was giving the oral of a lifetime. Like, you know how at school you would like talk in front of everyone? It felt like that.
I thought you were thinking a lifetime meant something very different.
Yes. No, we call them
an oral exam.
Yes. And so I had to have a cardiac ablation. And the way they do that is they thread catheters up through into your heart, and then they map it out, and then they burn the node.
Whoa.
So what I learned, so when you're with a lot of heart problems, you have to get, in order to get true blood flow mapping and like blood pressures and things like that, they have to be catheterized. And then they use little measures to like measure the pressures in the heart. And heart catheterization was first developed in horses in 1861.
Oh, okay, wow.
So they were the beginning of a process of medicine and learning in medicine that allowed me to improve my heart and the way that it functions. They're directly responsible for my health.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah. What else did I find? Oh, this is another one. So this is also really cool. So equine herpes is very similar to ours, to HPV. Mm-hmm. And it is actually an area that's being researched a lot at the moment. They're being used really heavily for ways to cure HPV. Mm-hmm. Because the viruses are so similar that they feel that by targeting the equine herpes virus, if they manage to fix that, then they'll be able to work out how to fix human herpes.
Very cool. That would be amazing.
Yeah. Because people get so caught up though about herpes.
I know, it's really not that big of a deal. So many people have it and don't even realize. Even if you do have it, it's not a problem almost ever unless you have an active outbreak. And even then, it's not a big deal. Yeah. Absolutely. It's nowhere near as big of an issue as so many people think it is.
Yeah, 80% of people have it. I remember being in the car once with my ex and a friend, and the friend was talking about how many times they've had STDs. Oh. Which is it wasn't a lot, but also like people get it, it's fine, you just get treated and you move on. Yeah. But I'd been in sex work for so long that I had forgotten how terrified the general public get about things like herpes and STDs. And you could just see his brain imploding as he listened to the conversation. Oh, no. And it became this huge thing. And I just thought, calm down. Like, you really don't have to stress about it, guys.
If people were getting tested as regularly as adult workers were, they would actually feel much less stressed about these things.
Yeah.
So, go get tested.
And then also next time you see your horse, be nice to it because it might cure your herpes.
Yeah. Be nice to horses in general, but yeah, they could save your life.
They're also a really big part of research at the moment for a lot of genetic problems like cystic fibrosis.
Cool.
So horses have this weird thing where the way that cystic fibrosis and some other genetic problems happen is they have these like accidental stop codons, we call them. So codons are like signals in the DNA that tell the DNA what to do, I guess. And so there are certain diseases where you get one prematurely and that then creates the disease. Horses have this weird thing that I don't think I've heard about in another animal. I will at some point go deep diving for a future thing to like see if I am wrong. Like my plan is to do some episodes where I just go looking for the weird facts that I couldn't answer on the day.
Cool.
But basically they have this switch in their genetics that allows them to override these premature stop codons. So they literally hold the answer to curing cystic fibrosis.
Because if we could basically turn those off, the receptors or the codons for cystic fibrosis, then it wouldn't happen anymore?
Exactly.
Wow.
And it's also a really great place to look at ways that you can treat it. Like, what can we give to influence that particular part in genetics? Like, viral therapy is getting really big because antibiotics are becoming so shit against drugs, against bacteria. And so there's a lot of research going into, like, can we implant a little piece of genetic code into this virus, because this virus can get in there, and then can it deliver that to this specific part in the gene, and can it then cause it to be changed?
Wow.
So microbots and viral therapy is the way of the future, honestly.
Whoa.
In the future, we will just get injected with viruses, I'm sure of it, to fix things.
It's so interesting to think of a virus as being a carrier, like as just a vehicle.
Yeah, but it really is, because it's not technically a living organism. It doesn't have a cell nucleus, it's just like a little, it's almost like a robot. It's a robot of the animal kingdom.
Interesting.
And it's not technically considered a living organism. And that's why they're so useful, actually, with medicine.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I
Yeah.
had no idea.
Turning them from, like, these bad things that, I mean, they're not thinking, so they're just going in and invading, and then how can we use that invasion to our advantage? It's the ultimate Trojan horse.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's what I was thinking of. Horse. Trojan horse.
Ha!
Ha!
Totally planned that
Totally planned!
All right, now we're going to get into some of their reproductive stuff.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah. So horses ovulate seasonally, so they ovulate in spring and summer. One of the cool things that you learn about in vet school, because horses are bred so much because they're recreational, and then they're also used for meat, and then they're also used for racing and things like that, like they're very commodified, you can put them in a barn and you just shine light on them for the same amount of time as, like, say, summer. You could do it in the middle of winter. You could be in the Arctic where it's like nighttime all month.
24 hours of daylight?
Yeah, give them the light, and they'll think, their body will think that it's summer and spring, and they can ovulate. So
very similar to weed plants, actually.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they can take so much light and so much heat, and that's how, when you have indoor grow spaces, you can basically, like, force the production, their reproductive production.
Oh, that's cool. Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Horses and weed.
If you've read The Botany of Desire, or I think it's in Botany of Desire, that Michael Pollan, he's a really great author, he talks specifically about weed in this very interesting and scientific way, and that was a fact that I learned from him.
That's really cool.
Yeah, highly recommend that book if you haven't read it. It's so good. I think it's about, like, apples, weed, potatoes, and I forget what the last thing is. It's like four different plants that have basically changed human lives.
Yeah, wow. I'm
It's
going
really
to get
cool.
it because I'm a massive bookworm.
It's really cool. Highly recommend.
I don't know if you've noticed. I want to, like, one day I want a library.
Yes. I want a Beauty and the Beast level library.
Oh, wow.
That will never happen, but maybe it could be a community library.
Yeah.
That's what I'm sort of picturing. Like, anyone could go there and be on the tall ladders that, like, swing around, and you could just spend all day in there with the book. And then there's a beast in the back. That'd be cool.
Yeah. I would fall off.
Me
too
too, probably.
clumsy.
Yeah, maybe they'd have like little padded bumpers underneath or something.
Or one of
We'd have to
those,
have safety.
or one of those forklifts, and we can just, like a cherry picker. We can just get in and.
What if there were just people waiting in the wings to swing down and save you?
Sure. Yeah. I love that you're
brain is just in a constant romance novel. It's
Yes,
so sweet.
100%. Which is kind of surprising because I'm not actually an overly romantic person, but I do like to live in a world that is more romantic than our current one.
How would, though, if you're not romantic, I don't think it would be very fun living in that world, because when people were trying to be romantic, I think that it would, if I wasn't a romantic person, it would piss me off. And then I'd be like the town grudgy bitch because I'd be like, fuck off, I can open my own door. Like,
Well, but I think that there's so many different kinds of romance, and romance really is something that you define for yourself or within the relationship or within the friendship or however, within the structure of, you know, your communication with another person.
Yeah.
So it can be different per person. I have this very specific idea, but I would not be a romantic totalitarian. If you want to have romance in a different way, you are absolutely allowed to have that. You just can't come in my library.
fair. Yeah, I'm big on romance with everyone in my life that's like super connected with me. I have romantic feelings about my friends. Like romance is just I think they define it as a desire, a deep desire to be connected to someone, and that's it. So
yeah, it's connection. It's absolutely connection, and intimacy can be so many different things. And yeah, that's why I really value my friendships just as much as I value my romantic relationships. To me, that they are both just deep and expansive ways of knowing someone else and communicating with someone else. And that's why romance is so different per person. Because I wouldn't call myself a romantic in the way that I want gifts and flowers and for the door to be held open for me. But someone who's always listening and then gets me the perfect gift for Christmas and my birthday because they've been listening to me all year, that's fucking romantic.
Yes.
That's what I'm talking about. Someone who's deeply listening to you because they like you so much, that is romantic.
Maybe this is why on a hidden level you wanted to talk about horses, because they're such good communicators.
Oh, they are good communicators.
Yeah.
You're not gonna... If a horse is upset, it seems like it's very obvious.
Yeah.
So
you'll feel it.
You know what? I'm not good with subtlety, so I actually really need animals and people to be incredibly direct with me.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that is something that I appreciate about animals that are this communicative.
Yeah, there you go. It all makes sense.
It all makes sense.
You're a horsey girl.
I'm a
Also,
horsey
slightly
girl.
crazy in all the good ways.
Yay!
So you can be part of the club. All right, back to horses. So when I went to vet school, probably the worst, I'm going to tell you a story about the worst thing I probably ever had to do.
I'm so ready.
So when you're intentionally breeding horses, it's very specific, like what you have to do. So
Because the lineage is so important, right? Specifically with horses?
yeah, but even beyond the lineage, the steps you take, there's a certain way that you do it. And it feels very violating, I will say that much.
Oh.
So when I was at vet school, I was the student that had to do it as well, which was really fucking fun. So basically, when you want to mate, like say do artificial insemination, you want to have a mare and you want to have a stallion, right? But if you just let the stallion mount the mare without doing anything, she could get bacterial infections. The sperm count might not be very good. If you want to, say you're making a $5 million racehorse, you want to know that that sperm is taking. And that there's no chance of them getting sick from that sperm.
Yeah.
So what I had to do was we took a stallion, you put them next to this mare that's in season, and he reacts and he's like, oh yeah, I'm a lovely lady, and then he gets a boner. Their penises, by the way, like fucking ridiculous. They are easily this long. They are easily half my body size, probably.
Whoa.
At least a third. And they're disgusting. Like, when you think smegma, you don't know smegma until you've seen a horse's penis.
You know what? I don't know smegma until I've seen a horse cock.
It's horrendous. It
believe
is
it.
so bad.
And it smells too, right?
Yes. And so my job as a student was to clean the spona. So you have to get warm soapy water, and you have to literally wash their cocks for them because they're so disgusting. While
that
they're
it's
trying to have
clean?
sex with a lady.
Whoa.
So imagine, like, if you we're gonna get it on with a dude. And he's like, yeah, I really want this. And then there's this random very Handmaid's Tale almost, like there's this random third person in the room and they're like, just wait a second. And then
I gotta clean it up for you.
And then while he's trying to get at you, she's like blocking him to clean his dick.
I mean,
because he's
nice.
so gross.
Well, that part not so great. Although I do like a little bit of grossness. I'm a bit of a gross girl. But yeah, dicks should be clean when they are inside. It's better for everyone.
It is the worst thing I've ever seen in vet school. I mean, I love abscesses and things like that. I love the gross stuff. I don't love horse dick smegma.
No, that sounds terrible. I would also, that's not the kind of gross that I like.
Yeah.
I would like to avoid that.
So then while the dick's clean, the next step is you have to collect the semen so that you can then test it and see whether it's viable.
So he doesn't get to enter?
No.
I've heard, is there like a sleeve?
Yeah, so it's this giant ass condom. So you have this giant metal pipe with like padding inside, almost like a giant fleshlight.
That's literally what I was picturing. I was like, what horse is the face of horse fleshlights? Like whose name is written on this?
Of course.
Yes, exactly.
I think Dread is the closest human equivalent of this world that I can give.
Okay.
So you have this giant fleshlight and you pre-warm it. So the inside you fill it up with water that's the same temperature as a mare's vagina.
Okay.
Because if it's colder or hotter, you can kill off the semen. And then you have to awkwardly carry this giant, like, it looks like a bazooka, and you have to like angle it onto the horse's dick. You have a tiny window to get it. If you miss, he might get in. And then he basically jerks himself off in this giant metal fleshlight to collect the semen, and then you go check it under a microscope.
Whoa.
That was my job.
Whoa.
Yeah. I don't particularly ever want to do it again.
No. And you had to do it by yourself?
No, it's a whole team of people. So even better, everyone watches me.
But no, I was just thinking that there's only you putting it on?
Yeah. So you normally have a couple of people holding the horses, and there's a barrier between the mare and him to try and stop him from getting to her. There's like almost a mount pole. There's like a pole that acts as the mare. And you kind of trick him into mounting that.
Got it.
And then you have a minute to like put it on, but if you miss, he might just ejaculate and you miss it all. So it's a science, but it's a science that I'm quite happy to leave to someone else, basically, because I don't ever want to clean a horse dick again.
Do they call it the rut, or are they in heat? What is
they're in heat.
In heat, okay.
Yeah. And then during spring and summer, their heats actually last longer. So during the winter, they're not in heat for as long because they're like less fertile, I guess. It's influenced by the light still. Yeah. So let's say we have inseminated a horse. So twins are super rare.
Okay.
They usually just have one baby. Thank Christ, I can't imagine pushing out two of those big fuckers. They're so big. And they are in gestation, which is pregnancy, for 11 months roughly. It's 340 days. Foals are born with foal slippers.
What?
So they are born with little slippers on their little hooves that fall off as they grow up.
So they don't cut the inside of so they don't cut the vaginal canal as they're coming out?
Potentially. I'm not actually sure the evolutionary reason why it's there, because when any animal comes out, their hooves and paws are soft because they've not been outside in air.
Okay. Oh, air is what hardens hooves?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, because it's kind of like, you know how you get pruny
because it's
in the
being
bathtub?
soaked in liquid. Okay.
Yeah. So similar kind of thing, but they're born with foal slippers.
Foal slippers. What color are they?
Let's have a look, because I actually...
What's a foal slipper look
I
like?
think they're just a similar color to hooves. Oh, here we go. So they're kind of like white.
Oh. It's like an embryonic sac almost?
They're kind of almost feathery looking.
Oh, yeah. They look way creepier than I thought they would look.
They look very Stranger Things.
They look like tentacles. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look up foal slippers.
Yeah.
Whoa, those are crazy looking.
And then they fall off. And then they just have their little hoosies.
Okay. That is a very cool fact.
Which is really cute. And they eat solid food really quickly. Like the first week of their life, they can still drink milk from mum, but they're eating pretty fast because we're herbivores and we want to get ready to eat grass for the rest of our life because that sounds fun.
Yum.
I couldn't be a herbivore.
No, I like being omnivore.
Yeah.
Best of both worlds.
I'm trying to eat less meat these days and less cheese and trying to be like, I guess, more conscious of my food choices, but I also don't know if I will ever be able to eliminate it completely, so I just try to choose ethically.
Same, and I do try to cut back on red meat especially. I try to have red meat be more of a couple times a month thing or an occasion thing, and I eat a lot of like chicken and like pork and that kind of thing. I try not to eat quite as much like red meat.
I'm the same, but there is a really cool anatomical reason why I do it, but I don't want to tell you. I want to save it for a cow podcast.
Okay, that's fair. Save it for the cows. Cows are so cute and so fun.
Yeah.
If you ever come to Portland, my friend runs a animal sanctuary, and it's specifically for farm animals, and she has cows that you can just hang out with, and they're so cute.
What's it called? What's the sanctuary?
It's called Onalaska because it's in Onalaska, Washington, and it is run by my friend Jess, who is really amazing, and she has been a dedicated animal lover and vegetarian for a very long time, and this has always been her dream. She used to go and work with like, I think it's Vets Without Borders, doing a lot of like spay and neutering in like Romania and places like that. And yeah, her sanctuary is amazing. Please look it up, Onalaska Farm Sanctuary. She has goats, she has cows, she has like chickens, she has like cats and a lot of other things. So highly recommend supporting her if you are a lover of animals. You should look her up because she also posts cute things of Junebug the cow.
Aww, I love, there's so many great animal sanctuaries in America. My favorite one that I've come across so far that I really want to go to for a night is one in Joshua Tree called Kaleidoscope.
Oh.
They have zebras and peacocks and all sorts of crazy shit. And you can just go swimming, and the emus sometimes will just come in the pool with you. Just hang with you. Yeah.
Speaking of peacocks, I know this is not a peacock time, but one time I was shooting a porno in LA, in the part of LA that has a lot of peacocks, and let me tell you, if you've never been around a peacock, they scream. They scream so loud, and it is very hard to edit out of pornography, let me tell you. So they were very active, and then we opened the door, and there they were in full display.
I love the display. I didn't know they're screamers, though.
Yeah,
That's
they're
so
screaming.
funny.
I think it's a scream. It was very loud. Whatever they were doing, it seemed like a scream.
So funny. Yeah, not ideal.
If someone knows more about peacocks than me and it's not a scream and has a technical name, please correct me.
I'll make a podcast on them.
Great.
I'll add it to the list.
Add it to the list.
There's so many animals. Like,
There
I
are
can
so
do
many
this
animals.
forever. I love it.
Do you ever watch Tier Zoo on YouTube?
No.
You should really watch Tier Zoo. He basically ranks animals in tiers from like S tier to F tier.
Okay.
But he really goes into detail about it, and it's really fun. And the way that he describes it is obviously influenced by like video games, because he'll talk about basically the different periods in history are different. I forget what he calls it, but it's like a patch. Basically, when something like the Ice Age or something, it's like a patch that happened, and then the meta was changed.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a really, really great animal related YouTube channel that I recommend.
I'll find it.
Tier Zoo.
Okay, I'll definitely watch that. Alrighty, so I did find as well, so horses, we were talking about donkeys before, briefly. So I did go on a deep dive because I came across all of these different combinations with zebras and horses and donkeys and stuff. Do you know what a zebra crossed with a horse is?
No.
It's called a zorse.
A zorse? That's cute.
They can't reproduce.
They cannot. I know there's hennies and donkeys, right? Or is it...
Hennies. What is a henny?
I think a mule is like a male donkey, and I think a henny is a female donkey.
Okay.
Both of them can't... Is it... What is it when it's a...
Horse donkey is a mule, isn't it?
Okay,
and they're infertile.
So that's what it was. So horse and donkey together makes a mule, which is a male one, and I think a henny, which is a female one.
Oh, cool. There you go.
But please fact check me, because facts, not my strong suit. They are obviously your strong suit, so please double check me.
Well, the thing with this podcast is there's so many animals and so many that I learn almost nothing of at vet school because they're not animals that we typically treat. Horses was one that I was like, I did learn a lot about this animal. So everything I have to constantly look up because there's only so much my little brain can take.
There's only so much that can fit in our brains. I am kind of glad to have ADHD in some ways because I feel like it's a constant defragging or emptying the cache in my brain.
Yeah.
Things just routinely get compacted or thrown out, and then I get a new surprise when I learn something that I already knew but forgot about.
Yeah, I feel you. A male donkey and a female zebra is called a zebra donk.
Ew, that one's terrible.
And it's infertile. But a male zebra and a female donkey is called a zonkey. And
That's
they
cute.
do live in the wild, but they're very rare.
So are they fertile or no?
They must be. I'd assume so.
Wow.
I might be wrong. Someone tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure they are. I think so. One way they're infertile and somehow works the other way.
Wow.
And they exist in the wild, but they're super rare.
Huh, okay.
Uh,
I love zonkey.
we're going to get into...
Zorse?
Zorse is my favorite.
Zorse.
All right, we're going to get into the last fact I have for you. It's actually my least favorite fact about horses, and it relates to ethics and what the fuck are we doing with horses, basically.
Oh, okay.
So when horses race, they found, as they studied horses in racing, that they get something called exercise-induced pulmonary hemorrhage.
Oh.
So basically, they started scoping horses and realized that some of these horses were hemorrhaging in their lungs at the end of a race. So they started to try and scope as many as possible. Now, the statistics vary a lot, but it's as high as 45 to 75% of horses have exercise-induced pulmonary hemorrhage. They think that if they scoped every single horse that raced after the race, they think it could be 100%.
Whoa.
So we're basically putting horses through so much strain racing that they spontaneously bleed in their lungs, and that can cause lung damage over time.
So why do we race them?
Exactly. And horse racing is one of the worst ones. So I did dive into other types of sports that we use them for, and polo is 11%, show jumpers are 45%. But the amount that we have pushed their athletic limits, it's not good for them. And so this is why there's this massive argument about whether we should actually have horse racing in general. I think as a vet, I look at it and I just think it's not worth it. Imagine if every human athlete, when they ran an Olympic race, they bled from their lungs. It wouldn't be allowed.
It's also, I believe, really hard on the jockeys as well because they have to be so tiny, right? So there's a lot of stress that they're putting their bodies in too.
Yeah. I mean, eating disorders are fucking ridiculous in the racing world because the lighter you are, the less you put on the horse. And there's some really great documentaries. I'll find some names and put them in the bottom in the comments because it's been a while since I watched them. But it's really sad the way that jockeys essentially take care of themselves in order to race. And they don't earn that much money.
No, it's actually, I used to watch a lot of UFC. I still watch MMA occasionally. But when I was watching it more often, and I used to do sports when I was younger, but I didn't do a lot of them, and I didn't do any where you had to do weight cuts. And I just think that doing a weight cut is so terrible for you. And it seems like such a terrible system. You're a professional athlete, you are a sports person, you're utilizing your body is your medium, it's your machine, and then you're going through these periods of starving and binging it just to meet weight. That just seems like such a terrible standard to have. And I understand having weight classes because of course you don't want someone who's 120 going up against someone who's 200 or whatever. And so I understand having weight classes, but I just think that it feels like such a short-sighted and unsustainable thing. And I think that if it's possible for athletes to walk around at their fighting weight so that at least they're not doing this intense binging and cutting, that it's going to be way better for people long term. But again, I'm not an athlete. I don't have to go through all of these things. So I'm just talking out of my ass. But it doesn't seem good.
Yeah. And there is a blessing amongst humans in that realistically the only person who can control that is you. You make the decision as to whether you subscribe to that lifestyle or not. Although you shouldn't be pressured into feeling like that, and that's the argument. But horses don't get that choice. And we have domesticated them, and we have taught them how to take a saddle. And we sit and we ride around on them and they give so much to us. And then medically they give so much to us. And then ethically, like, where does that sit? If we think that 100% of racehorses are literally getting lung damage for our entertainment, what are we doing?
People should just watch Jackass instead.
Yeah.
I'd rather see humans putting their bodies on the line for our entertainment than animals that can't consent.
1000%. But then it's such an this is a really interesting debate when you look at animals in production as well. If they didn't have that purpose, horses are a little different because we ride them for recreation and stuff, but with a lot of production animals who have a commercial purpose, do they still have a commercial purpose if we remove that thing? And then where would they be in the world if they didn't have a purpose? Like cows, for example. I have to get into cows one day. I love them. And
cows are amazing.
The ethical stuff is really intense with them. But that's horses. Yeah. The Victoria's Secret models that we forced to bleed out of their lungs for our entertainment.
Yikes.
And we stick them in sunshine to make them have babies. And their dicks are disgusting.
And there's basically horse fleshlights that vets use.
Yeah, never want to touch one again. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds gross. I wouldn't want to be responsible for the cleanup of those either.
No, it's disgusting.
Ugh.
As students, we had to, and it was interesting.
Ew.
Yeah. So what's your opinion of horses now?
Still love horses. Still want to be a horse girl and ride horses around. I would happily muck a stable in exchange for being able to ride a horse whenever the fancy struck me. But I feel even firmer in my stance of not owning one because I genuinely can't afford it. And I don't think that most animals should be raced or put into fights or things like that. That doesn't seem like a great idea to me. I am pretty against that, but I still think horses are awesome and beautiful, and I would love to hang out with more of them and see how many facial expressions I could figure out.
Yeah.
Yeah. What faces are they going to make at me?
Do they like me or do they hate
Do
me?
they like me? Do they hate me? They're allowed to do both. They don't know me.
We got so into horses, the battery ran out. But they're basically big supermodels with exercise issues, but not by any fault of their own.
Nope.
And they have disgusting dicks.
They do, and there's actual fleshlights for horses.
Yes.
And I would not want to be the person who has to clean that out when they were done.
No, that was my job. Yeah, it's chunky. Anyway,
Well,
on that note,
I still love horses. I definitely don't think that they should be racing, and I'm pretty against most animal racing and animal fighting and things like that. So I don't want that to be as common. But I am so excited by how many medical advances come from horses. I think that's absolutely incredible and not something I knew.
yeah, there might be a world one day where horses are responsible for literally eliminating herpes.
That would be incredible.
And I mean, they're responsible for HIV, progressions just by virtue of finding the virus. So,
Wow.
incredible animals. All right, we will see you next time, guys.
Bye.
Bye.